Welcome to our Wednesday webinar. I'm Corey Dahl, and I'm an instructional technology facilitator here at ESU 8, and with me is Lisa Pospishil,
who is assistive technology at Norfolk Public Schools, an avid iPad user. And I kind of bullied my way in here and made Corey let me help.
Right. So I feel very good about having her here. There's plenty to talk about, and there are many features that we won't hit today, but we've just selected a few for you just to cover on iOS 7 if you've upgraded your iPad already or thinking about it.
Yeah, some of the new fun features out there, and also some of the features that might confuse you a bit when you first get started.
Right. So let's get started.
Let's do.
So what is iOS? Really, I just wanted to, because often people hear iOS and they don't know what that is. So just a brief description of it, really, and as I put it up there, it's just the foundation. It's the operating system. That's what the OS means. And the I really refers to all these iDevices, the iPad, the iPhone, right? The iPod Touch. So OS is really operating system. And so this is a major upgrade for them.
Yeah, in many years.
Yes. So I'm glad you said that, Lisa.
Yeah.
The last major update, what do you think? What year? Lisa, don't give it away if you think you know. Now, what I want you to do, participants, is get in the chat area, and I want you to type your guess at what year the last, and I'm going to call it major. Now, I'm not talking, since this is iOS 7, I'm not talking about iOS 6 and 5, but yeah, the actual look and feel. So if everyone get into the chat area and type in their guess at what year you think the last major update was.
Oh, 2009. We're a little close.
Close. Here's a bunch talking or typing here. We've got 99, 10, 8.
Ooh, 99. Was that around in 1999?
Jody, I don't think we had an iPad in 1999, and if you did, you know someone at Apple that we don't.
Ooh. Nobody hit it yet. Oh, here we're going. We're getting it.
Here we go. Somebody Googled it, I bet. I think this is the first major update since 2007. 2007 we have. So if you were in the ball. So this is really, if you think about in terms of software and even any technological device, it's been about 6 years. I mean, that's a lifetime in technology. To me, I consider a couple, 3 years. Now, they've changed devices and how they look and things, like the phones and the iPads.
And some minor stuff, operations, but not the full face.
Right. So this is a big deal as far as updates go. Okay. One of the first changes here, big change is folders. Okay. And now if you've been on an iPad in the past, you've probably taken your apps, Lisa, and put all of your apps into folders, and what are some of the ways that you've characterized them or categorized them?
Sure. We've put them according to subject area, so all the reading ones, phonics, math facts. I've even seen kids make folders for the alphabet, so if the app started with the letter, it would put them in those folders.
Right. So in the past, now there's my folder there. This is how it looks on iOS 7, but before, you could only put how many apps into one folder? Now, this is pre-iOS 7, so how many apps could you fit in on your iPad?
Me? Oh, 20.
20. So you can get 20 apps into a folder before iOS 7. Mm-hmm. Now, so the big change here is what?
It's unlimited. In fact, I saw one student, he put all 120 apps in one folder. It was crazy.
So if you're a neat freak,
yes,
and you don't like this cluttered up multi-page iPad, you can get unlimited and all of your apps into one folder. Now, I still don't know if that's going to work the best for you, but it's just knowing that you're not limited to 20. Because some people have reading apps and they might have more than 20, so then they had a reading one and a reading two or whatever, but now you can get all the reading into. Or if you have a cart at a school where people are sharing them, you might put K3 apps, I'm just using that as an example, into one folder. And 4.6 on another, or something like that.
Yeah, and just remember to look when you see the folders. Now you only see 9 apps showing up. And look below on the folder to see if there are any dots. If there are dots, that means there's more pages in that folder, and you just swipe to go through them.
So I think that was just something that I found that was interesting, that because before you were limited, and now you're not.
Yeah.
So it's just really whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Well, and before we go on, I know you're at Control Center, but let's also add you used to be limited to only 11 pages. Now it's unlimited pages to keep your apps. So it just depends on if you're working with kids that you'd rather have the apps sitting out and you organize them according to pages or in folders. So just do what feels best to you. Because now when I updated, I had like 15 pages, but only 11 showed. I had to always search for them.
And something else regarding that made me think of, if some of you had that newsstand app before, they would let you put that in a folder. And now you can take that newsstand app and actually get it in a folder and hide it, because not a lot of people really use it.
I wish they would just let you take it off.
Right. You can't take it off because it's one of their apps that has to stay on there, but you can at least put it in a folder. Okay, next. Control Center. How do you get to it, Lisa? First of all.
That one's really kind of nice and easy. You used to have to get to it by double tapping your home or forefinger up, but now they've turned it into a control center. It's one finger down at the bottom of your iPad and you swipe up. Now, by default, you can access this not only when you're on the home screen, but when you're inside of an app. And later, if we get to it, we'll show you how to turn that off if that bothers you.
Right. So let's look at some of these things that are in the control center. We used to have to go 4 fingers up, and then we'd swipe from left to right.
Right.
So many of the same things are here, but you can get to this control center anywhere. So some of these basic things, this is that airplane mode there. If you're on an airplane, they ask you to shut that off. Here, what is this? That's a universal symbol for
Wi-Fi.
Right. You need to connect. This Bluetooth.
Love that one because that really eats your battery. And it's easy to turn Bluetooth on and off now without going into the settings app and trying to find it there.
Right. And now what I found myself doing here, I've actually, when I go to put this control center down, I found myself trying to just touch it right here, and I didn't need to, but then I found myself turning on Bluetooth accidentally. So this is a battery sucker. So
it is.
Think about that. This one here.
Nighttime notifications,
well, it's
right?
like a do not disturb.
Yeah,
it's like a do not disturb. So, if you don't want at night for certain things to happen, notifications and things, you might want to use that.
I use that more on my phone.
Right. And then mute, if you just want to quickly mute.
Yes.
Okay. Now over here, I use this a lot. This is my volume. It's real quick and easy to turn up and down my volume. And then over here, the brightness.
Yes.
Okay. Now from the screen also, no matter what screen you're on, if you don't see your camera app, you can click on the camera app right there and just take pictures. And we'll talk about the camera in a little bit as well. And then what do we have here?
What is that?
Well, it's your
timer.
A
clock.
It's your
it's a timer. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't use that very often.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you're going on to that next thing down at the bottom where it says
yes.
Corey Dahl.
Right.
See, this is the one where we use Air Server a lot in our district, okay? And that allows you to mirror your iPod on your computer so you can project it. And you have to get to it here. And so get to Control Center, and you should see this AirPlay, which is the square and the triangle. If you tap that, you're going to see where you can AirPlay to.
Right. So what AirPlay does, it just allows you to mirror your device
Apple TV.
Through Apple TV or Air Server or
Reflector.
Reflector.
Yeah, Reflector now.
Right. So if you don't have one of those devices available, you will not see this available on your iPad.
Yeah.
Now, what is AirDrop? This is really new to a lot of people. Do you
I
use
love
it
that.
much?
Yeah, I like it, but it's not on all the devices I have. It's only out there on the new iPad 4, right? And iPad mini, it's on, and the newer phones, right?
Right. So if you're looking for this and you have an older iPad, you won't see it. So like Lisa said, it's an iPhone 5, it's an iPad 4th generation or later, or the mini.
Yeah. And
so what does it do? What does it do?
It lets you share things back and forth over the air with people. So if you have a photo or a video or a document, you can AirDrop it to them. I only wish it would let you do it to the computer too, but this is just between iOS devices.
Right, and you have to be like using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth here.
That's right.
As far as that goes. So if you don't have Wi-Fi turned on or Bluetooth turned on, you will not see who's in your immediate area.
Right.
So sometime when you're around somebody that has a newer device, turn on Bluetooth and your Wi-Fi and make sure you're connected, and just practice sending pictures or whatever the case is back and forth.
But Control Center is new. That was never there before.
Right.
So you'll hear people talking about that. And
Okay.
again, it's one finger up, right?
Yeah.
From the bottom.
Searching is new. Now, we'd have to go to the first screen and then we have to swipe left to right, and to search. So if I'm on Lisa's iPad and she has 8 pages or so of apps, and I'm on page 8, I'd have to get clear back to the first screen of her apps. Then I'd have to hit the home button one more time, or I'd have to swipe from left to right one more time, and then I'd search. Now, Lisa, the big difference here now with iOS 7 is how can I search?
Everywhere on the home screen. So it doesn't matter which page you're on.
So if I'm on page 8, can I search?
You can search.
How do I do that?
Oh, it's great. Okay, now it can be tricky because you need to, I tell the kids, any page you're on, you can't be in an app, you're going to draw like the number 1 in the middle of your screen. So you're just going to swipe down and search comes up, and it's beautiful. I didn't realize how much the other search bothered me until they put this search in.
To me, this was a major improvement.
Yes.
I mean, it was just the way it was before, but it's just like, okay, what did we do before air conditioning? Well, you just lived with it, right?
Yeah. It took 2 weeks of swiping to the left,
right,
until I broke myself of the habit.
So if you're on an iPad right now or your phone and you're several pages back on apps, just try pulling down on your screen. So you just take, just like you said, you tell kids to make a number 1 right in the middle of the screen, and you just pull down with your finger. And you can search. Yeah. Right,
don't get close to the top and don't get close to the bottom. It needs to be in the middle of the screen, because if you pull close to the top, what's going to come down? Notifications. Right? Okay.
Right. So to me, this is a major improvement as well.
Yeah. Love search.
Yeah. Because when you get so many apps, you want to try and find them, and you don't want to have to go clear to the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know if I have enough yet to search, but I just have a few apps, right?
Yeah, just a few. Siri, this hasn't affected or changed, much what I do, but it's just nice to know on your end if you wanted to change Siri's voice. So when you go into settings, general, Siri, and then voice gender, and you have, let me grab my arrow here, and you have turned on Siri right there, then you can come down here to the voice gender, and you can change Siri from a female to a male.
Yeah, I like the male voice. I really do.
Whereas I'm sticking with just normal Siri.
Yeah, you like Siri.
And I believe they still have the same attitudes, do they not?
Yes, they do.
Yes, just different voices.
Yes.
So not an earth-shattering change, but just one worth noting that you can change Siri's voice. Okay, next. Multitasking. This is a little different as well.
Yes. And unlike the last time, I'll let you talk about this one, but it's still 4 fingers up. Okay, but it's going to look different.
Right.
And the biggest difference for me, wouldn't you say, is deleting the shortcuts.
Right.
Because how did we used to have to do it before?
Well, prior to this, and let me grab my arrow again here. When I look at the bottom, when I do my 4 fingers up and I see all of the apps that are open, I used to have to press and hold this app here. And when I would press and hold it, I'd get that little red minus.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to tap them one at a time. So now on this new multitasking bar here, when these apps are up, I just take this app right here that my arrow's on, and I'm just going to swipe up with my finger, and then that app just goes up in the air, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And if you're really talented, you know what you can do? You can do 2 at the same time. I can do this one or this one. Or if your fingers are wide enough, or you can somehow figure it out, you can get rid of 3 apps all at once. So if you have your iPad handy, try that now. Do your 4 fingers up on the bottom to reveal the multitasking bar, and then just take one of these apps and just swipe it up, and then it disappears.
I didn't know you could do 3. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's a lot quicker than that tap, 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 and get them jiggly.
Right.
But I also like the fact that I can see the screen that's in that shortcut, and I can easily go into that app, again, the multitasking that makes it quick and easy to go between them. The one thing I did notice, though, is to get rid of multitasking, you have to 4-finger down instead of just a finger down.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So when you pull up this screen that you're looking at on our webinar, you do that by 4 fingers up, and then to get it back down, it's 4 fingers down as well. Also, another way to pull this up, if you don't like the 4 fingers up, there's some people I've been around that really have a hard time with 4 fingers up to reveal that. Yeah. You double tap your home button. To double tap your home button, that pulls that up.
That still works. And to tap brings it back down too if you don't like to 4-finger down.
Okay. Safari. Now, I'm someone who uses Twitter, so one thing I really loved about Safari is when I'm in Safari, the web browser, and I come over here and I click on the bookmark. Okay? When I click on bookmarks and then I click on this @ symbol, what shows up below here are people that I follow on Twitter, and if there's a link, since I'm in Safari, somewhere in their tweet, I see them right there. And so
That's amazing.
What this is for me is someone who looks at Twitter a lot, so I don't have to go out to Twitter. I can be reading something, let's say in Safari, and then I can just check quick to see if anyone had posted something. And if there's a link, it'll be there. So that's something to me, as someone who uses Twitter, is a big deal.
Yeah.
What else is new in Safari?
Well, I like the new share out, where you can bookmark, right over there. One, I like that they separated it from that other icon, the book, in your bookmarks, so that you don't confuse it. And the share out looks different. It used to be a box with a curved arrow, right? Mm-hmm. And so now in all the apps that have kind of updated to the 7.0 look, I've noticed they've been using this box with just an up arrow, and that will be your share out. So when you tap on that, you have a few more options, right?
Right.
One of them is AirDrop. You can AirDrop this website to somebody. So if you want to be on the same page that the other person is, I think that's kind of cool.
And not have to get another email.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I also noticed that bookmarks, we used to have a bookmark bar, and you can tap that, but they call that now favorites instead of the bookmark bar.
So let me go back here. You're talking about this bar up here.
Yeah.
Is it just the bar?
Yeah, it has your shortcut links right down here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so shortcuts. It's your favorites.
Right.
And quick and easy links to get to. But that's one of my favorite ones. And then there's the...
As far as mail, you can mail whatever website it is you're on. There's that link to Twitter again, and social networks and Facebook and so on. Down at the bottom, I personally don't use this a lot. Do you, Lisa?
Not to bookmark. I don't. If I do to the bookmark bar. I have a few that I want to go to or we send kids to. But I usually, if it's a website I go to a lot, I make a web app out of it.
Right.
And
now,
that's still there.
How would you do that? So let's say, I'm on apple.com right here, and this is a website, let's say if I go to a lot.
Right.
Or if it's my school address, and I wanted to add this so it looks just like an app on my home screen.
Right.
So first I go to the website. Second, I'm going to tap this. Then where do I go now?
Yeah, you go to Add to Home Screen at the bottom. And what's great is it kind of takes a picture of that website and puts it in the app. And then I organize my web apps all in one folder so that they're all quick and easy to go to.
Right.
And now we have unlimited folders.
Right, exactly. So if you have a really long web address and you have little kids going to it, you don't have to spend any time having them type in that address. Just do this once on your own. Yeah. And now, are these icons that are made in shortcuts, how does that affect, or how does it change when you hand them back to the people at your district level who might synchronize and work with your iPads? Because won't they disappear?
Well, yeah, that's me, who's working with that. But usually if I have some web apps or if teachers have web apps that they want, then we put that on the master and then we clone the master with those.
So it's just something to think about. Mm-hmm. So if you have a iPad that you have to hand in occasionally to someone at the district level, it would wipe it out as soon as they sync it. So you just have to be aware of that. So if you want that left on there, you talk to that person like Lisa in Norfolk. Right. And say, I would really like the shortcut to Norfolk Public Schools website or whatever left on there. And then they can add that to it so it wouldn't be wiped out then.
It wouldn't. And, it depends on how they wipe them out, too. If they're teacher ones, I've been tending to just update them now, especially with a couple more features we're going to talk about here. Right. I'm hoping that saves me some syncing time.
Right. We're going to get to the updating apps here soon. Next.
Oh, I want to go back. There's one more great thing in Safari. Oh. Go back. It's beautiful. Used to be 2 different places that you can enter a web address or a search. They now made that a unified search. And so you can either type in a web address or the terms that I want to search, where before I used to have to do it in 2 different fields, right?
Right. The search field was more on the right.
Yes.
And now you can search do whatever you need to do, just right in that one.
And that was so confusing for people because I would have them typing in their search terms in the web address one and it wouldn't go and vice versa. Right. So love that they've made kind of what others might call like an omnibar to search. So that feature for me said yes, finally.
Very nice. Next, the camera. Now this is more than just a camera burst section. We want to talk a little bit more about the camera. But as far as the camera goes here, instead of just taking one shot, or if you wanted to take a few quick shots, what you can do here is just press and hold this button right here.
Yeah.
And it will take reasonably quick pictures.
Yeah, it
And
will.
you can also just tap it quickly with your finger.
Yeah.
But you'll have to experiment with that. But the reason I brought this up is if you're on an iPhone, you can use your volume button, and you know where your volume button is on your phone. It's not as easily done on an iPad just because it's a little awkward. But you can also hold down the up volume, and it'll take pictures for you quickly as well. So there's 3 ways. I can either just tap on it with my finger, I can press and hold this button, or I can press and hold the volume.
Yeah. And I will say in this new camera, it took me a while to get used to it because before when you click the picture, it would have like a shutter on the whole screen, right? Now it's not. You got to look in the lower right-hand corner, and you're going to see it flash in a little square there. In fact, I didn't even know about the camera burst, but I soon could tell when I would go to my camera roll, and I'd see multiple of the same picture because I didn't know I was taking it.
Right.
I was crazy.
Right. Now, how about switching? Before, there was a little, in iOS 6 and before, you just had to move a little button over to go from video to the still camera. Now, and I've seen this, and Lisa and I were talking, she's seen the same thing. People aren't sure how to get it from photo to video, and they want to tap on video right here.
And who wouldn't?
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do, Lisa?
You slide it. You take your finger on photo and you slide it up and down, and think of the dot as where you're moving it to.
Right.
And they've added, you see that square? I thought that was interesting.
Now, what is that?
That turns the image into an exact square, and not quite sure what.
Well, to me, if you're an Instagram fan, they're always squares. So
got it.
It is very much an Instagram-like. And those of you who know what Instagram is, you know what I'm talking about. And so if you're on your iPad right now or your phone, if you move to that square, you'll see that it looks very Instagram-ish.
Yes.
If I can use that word.
You know, and one last thing on this, you see that HDR off, okay? And that's for high definition. That the default is that it's off. But if you want a really good quality picture when you're taking it, you may want to think about turning that HDR on. Again, it just depends on, it helps you make a choice. But with kids, I usually do it off so it doesn't fill up their iPad.
Right, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of changes in camera.
Very much. But the biggest one to me was that, just that, moving it, using your finger to swipe it versus tapping on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Updating apps. This can be a big deal for schools. And I'm going to let Lisa just discuss this a little bit. So right now what you're looking at, I am in Settings, and then I've selected iTunes and App Store. And then down here is where I can turn something on or off. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and this is one that I've really been looking forward to for actually a number of years, and that's apps that automatically update. I mean, one of the things that bothers people the most on their App Store icon was the little red circle, right? That, even before I updated to iOS 7, I had 196 updates, and that freaks some people out.
So if people aren't familiar with what we're talking about, you've got a little app icon, and there's a little red number there, and it might say 7 or 196 or 33. And that means a lot of people, when they see that, they think they have to update it right away.
Yeah.
So what can you do now in iOS 7?
You can turn it automatically on, and in the background, it's going to be pulling down any updates as they become available. And I really like this because then it's not overloading the system all at once. Because I would tell people if they have so many, that just bring it in and we'll update it on the mothership. This way, it's pulling it down. Now, in schools, depending on how many devices you have, this could be a drain on the Wi-Fi, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but what I like is that it's spaced out. I think at this initial iOS 7, all the apps have to update because I'll tell you, we have a lot that are freezing, that haven't updated yet. So
if you haven't run your updates, please do because they've also made some significant changes to their looks and feel as well.
Like Google Drive, man, that really changed. That freaked me out.
All right, it's time for a little question, a little poll here. I'm going to pull it in.
Yeah, wake them up out there.
So you can see it. Okay, and I'm going to start the poll here. Here's the question. Before iOS 7, I'm talking about on an iPad as well. Before iOS 7, how many apps could we fit into one folder? Okay, and I see people answering here, and you should see the poll. Oh, some of you are typing in there. Yes, for those of you typing, if you can, go up to the poll in the middle of the screen and choose your answer. and I'll broadcast the results here in a minute. And yeah, I'm
Oh,
getting
we're
a 12.
getting good.
You know what's funny about this is we were researching it because I had already actually forgotten, and people were saying 12 and 9 and 20. Now, and it did vary depending on you're talking about an iPhone or not, but we're talking about strictly about an iPad here. Let's broadcast the results. Let's see how we voted.
They did well.
Okay. 70% of you picked 20. Now, Lisa is the iPad genius, and is that correct?
That is correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Right.
Yep.
So now, it used to be 20, but what is it now?
Unlimited.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Or at
right.
least to the limit of the memory of your device.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Okay. All right, here we go. iTunes Radio. This is new. This, if you're wondering what iTunes Radio is, if I could compare it to anything, it's Pandora. Pandora is a streaming radio. So you can imagine, even if you're not really a techie, what streaming radio would do to a network. So, Lisa, you want to talk about iTunes Radio?
Yeah, because that was a big one when all of our iPad minis kind of instantly updated. The kids found this right away, which is
Of course.
Yeah, of course. And it's in the music app. And it is a radio. Now, the nice thing compared to Pandora, because Pandora is not filtered. You don't have a clean switch, right?
Right.
The nice, and so that's why we tell kids, you can't do Pandora. I can't filter that for you. But for iTunes Radio, in the restrictions, you can turn that to clean. But I have a problem. I worry about the streaming and the drag on Wi-Fi, at least in our schools, until we update that a little bit more.
So how do you turn it on to clean?
To turn it on to clean, you need to go to your settings. Yeah.
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to share a live view of Lisa's iPad. So if you'll just bear with me a moment, and I will get this started here. Okay, I'm pulling this in here, and I just need to do a couple quick adjustments. I realize you can't see it yet on your end, everybody, but we'll make this happen here.
Make it happen.
We're going to make it happen.
So.
We're going to make it happen here. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to share Air Server, and then.
Oh, sweet.
Now, what you should be able to see on your end right now is a view of Lisa's iPad.
Yes.
Okay. So now, what she's going to go into now, you just did a demonstration of searching, so you can be on any. You can.
Sorry, I went into brain beans.
Okay. So how do you search? First of all, you just pull down from somewhere.
Like you're drawing a 1 in the middle of the screen.
Right, and then she's just looking for settings.
And I'm typing in settings, and we're going to go right into there. For schools, it's important that you do understand restrictions, and that's found under General. I'm going to flick up a little bit, and we have restrictions.
So settings, general, and restrictions.
Let's see if I have the right one in. Woo,
now everyone knows your code. If they were paying attention.
You go. Okay. I'll have to change that. Okay, and so here to change the content, if you come down here under allowed content, this is where you can set music, podcasts, and iTunes U to clean. It says explicit. If I turn that on, then I'm going to get all the stuff that I don't want kids to hear. Not that it's totally foolproof. I did notice a bad word. Right. It wasn't super bad, but
here's the deal. If you have iPads with kids, you can't make that iTunes Radio go away. Yeah. I mean, that just boils down to classroom management and people walking around and seeing that this is on. Yeah. But you can at least go this far.
Yeah. And I think it's important for parents, too, to understand restrictions. So if you are a parent and have an iPad at home and you have it in your kid's hands, you should set the restrictions on here to make sure that they can't get, especially even in books where it says restricted, it shows some not appropriate pictures, right?
Is there anything else that you wanted to demonstrate quickly? Because we scheduled this for half an hour, and I wanted to stick within that. So while we're still looking at your iPad, where else were we at here as far as demoing?
Yeah, demoing.
As far as now, if you look down at the bottom of her screen, if you can see that, she has how many pages there? If you quickly look, 10 pages. So now in the past, I would have had to get clear to the beginning, again, to search. Now, I don't have to do what she's doing right now. I can just pull down again. And that's, to me, is key. Yes. What else was brand new with this?
Brand new with this would be the control center.
Right.
Correct?
You want to pull up the control center quickly?
So I'm going to take my finger down way at the bottom and go up. You know, and again, that's where you can AirPlay, which is what we're doing right now. I'm using Air Server.
That's how you're able to see this.
And you can see that I'm hooked up to his machine. And that's where I'd also go and turn it off if I needed to. Okay.
I think I'm going to close this window and we're going to get back to our screen.
Sounds good.
And we're right at 4:15, and just like we started on time, I want to end on time. Please continue to look back at our esu8.org website, and then when you're on our website, if you just click on this link, Wednesday Webinars, and if you have a topic that you'd like to suggest, we'd be glad to listen to that. You can let a staff developer know or myself, and then each week we'll be doing these. We can certainly do more, and each week the live link is there. So if you're not sure where the link is, just go to that Wednesday Webinars, click there, and like right now it says click to join the live link. And this is also the same place where we'll post things that have been done in the past.
Good to know. So Norfolk people, make sure you go there, and we'll share this out too.
You bet. Okay, that's it. We have a few questions here. So, as we're officially done here, we can answer a few questions. And also while we're answering questions, I can pull in my favorite penguin swing. So if you see this, what you do here, this is definitely my favorite, is you click, and then the penguin drops down, and then you can hit the penguin. And what I'm looking for is who can hit the penguin the farthest.
So go.
Okay, so right now I'm going to look at look at some of the questions, or maybe people are just chatting. And I am going to turn off the record at this point. Thank you, everybody.